in a small village nestled between towering hills and vast forests, where tradition held the power to bind or break. The most anticipated day in Adama's life was about to unfold. She had waited for this moment, a day she had dreamt of since childhood, where she would marry Tunde, the man she loved and the man her family had chosen. The celebration was grand. Drums resounded in the air. Dancers twirled in colorful garments, and the scent of roasted meats filled the breeze. But on this day, in a moment of celebration, tragedy would strike. Adama, dressed in her bridal gown, adorned with gold beads passed down from generations, stood beside Tunde at the altar. But as the elders spoke the final words, a betrayal of the deepest kind would shatter the very foundation of trust in the village. As the elders lifted their hands in blessing, a shadow moved in the crowd. It was Jaid, Tunde's best friend. Jaid, the man who had stood by him through thick and thin, the man who had vowed to protect his honor and his love. But that day, he wasn't standing by Tunde. No, Jaid wasn't standing by anyone. In a swift and shocking moment, he grabbed Adama's hand and pulled her away. The village gasped as the couple disappeared into the crowd. Tunde stood frozen, his heart pounding, his mind racing. His best friend, his own blood, had stolen the woman he was about to marry. The betrayal was so swift, so cruel, that no one could comprehend it. The earth trembled beneath their feet as they ran toward the dense forest. Adama's cries echoed, but Jaid's grip was too strong. He led her deeper into the wilderness, towards a dark cave where only the oldest of spirits dwelt. Adama, disoriented and confused, barely understood what was happening. But she knew one thing. She was caught in a web spun by the very person she had once trusted. As night fell, the moon rose high, casting an eerie glow over the scene. Jaid, panting and sweating, locked eyes with Adama. There was no love in his gaze, only cold resolve. "You belong to me now," he whispered, his voice as chilling as the night air. Adama recoiled in horror. How could this be? How could a man she once called a friend do this to her? She had loved Tunde with all her heart, yet here she was, trapped in the arms of his betrayer, a man who had once been like a brother. She struggled, but Jaide's grip tightened, his hold like iron. And then, as the forest seemed to hold its breath, the spirits of the land, the ancient ones, began to stir. Suddenly, a cold wind swept through the cave, and the ground trembled beneath their feet. From the darkness emerged a spirit, a tall figure draped in tattered robes, its face hidden in shadows. The air grew heavy, and Adama felt the presence of something ancient and powerful. The spirit spoke in a voice like thunder, shaking the very bones of the earth. "You have broken the sacred bond of marriage. You, Jaid, shall bear the weight of your betrayal, and you, Adama, shall never find peace again." The curse was set. A bond of loyalty had been broken, and now both were bound to the land's wrath. Adama's heart hammered in her chest. She looked at Jaida, her breath shallow, her eyes wide with disbelief. This was no ordinary betrayal. This was something darker, something ancient. As the spirit disappeared into the shadows, Adama felt a strange sensation, like an invisible chain pulling at her chest. A deep, consuming guilt settled over her soul. Was it her fault, too? Could she have stopped it? Could she have stopped Jaid from destroying everything? Jaid, now a man haunted by the curse, stared into the dark abyss of the cave. The spirit's words echoed in his mind. "You have stolen not just a bride, but a soul. You will never escape the wrath of the land, nor the curse of betrayal." But as the hours passed, Jaid's anger grew, and his mind began to twist. Could he too find a way to escape the curse? The village believed in the power of the spirits, but perhaps there was another way, another path he could take to break free. Yet, as the curse weighed heavily on his conscience, the more he struggled, the more he felt its grip tighten. Adama, now bound to Jaid in ways she could never understand, awoke the next morning to a village that was no longer the place of hope and joy it once was. The people no longer sang songs of celebration, but whispered in fear, their eyes filled with distrust. She knew it was her fault. The curse had been placed upon her, for she had been the one to agree to Jaid's plan, to leave her true love behind. If you think this betrayal is unbearable, Adama thought as she walked toward the village square, you won't believe what happens next. If you're still shocked by Jaid's betrayal, wait for the secrets that will soon unfold. Subscribe now so you won't miss the twist that will change everything. As the villagers gathered, rumors began to spread like wildfire. Some believed the cause was simply superstition, a tale meant to scare children into obedience. But others knew the truth, that the land had been wronged and its spirits would exact their revenge. And so the village began to unravel. Friendships turned into bitter feuds. Marriages crumbled under the weight of suspicion, and the once bustling village square became a place of cold silence. But the worst was yet to come. One fateful night, as the wind howled through the trees, the spirits returned. Adama, now plagued by guilt, had tried to return to Tunde to apologize, to break free of Jaid's grasp. But every time she tried, the land would not let her go. The curse was too strong, its roots too deep. She had tried to escape her fate, but the spirits were relentless. And Jida, desperate to break free from his own torment, sought a dark path to break the curse. But darkness only fed darkness. At this very moment, as the village teetered on the edge of chaos, a mysterious stranger arrived, a figure cloaked in shadows, who claimed to know the ancient ways of breaking curses and restoring balance to broken bonds. But his price was steep. He demanded a sacrifice, one that could either save or destroy the village forever. What would Adama choose? And would Jaid's desperate quest for redemption lead him to salvation or eternal damnation? If you think the curse can be broken with a simple answer, you're wrong. Stick around as the plot thickens. Hit that like button if you're hooked and comment below if you can't wait to see what happens next. The fate of the village is at stake. Stay tuned. As the village grew darker with each passing day, tensions escalated between the people who had once lived in harmony. Adama, now a ghost in her own home, could feel the eyes of the villagers on her at all times. Her guilt was suffocating, and no matter how many times she sought the wisdom of the elders, no one had an answer for her. The curse seemed inescapable, tightening around her chest with every breath she took. She knew the spirits would never forgive her, that her betrayal would haunt her for the rest of her life. But there was one last hope, a whisper in the wind, a shadow in the night that promised to lift the curse if she could find the stranger who had appeared in the village. Adama ventured into the forest at night, following the faint trail of the mysterious figure. The moon cast long shadows across the trees, and every rustle of leaves made her heart race. She had come to a breaking point. The only way she could redeem herself and lift the curse was to find this stranger. But as she walked deeper into the forest, she couldn't shake the feeling that she was being watched, that the spirits were still with her. waiting to see if she would choose redemption or destruction. At last, she found him. The stranger stood by a clearing, his eyes glowing faintly in the dark. His features were obscured by the hood of his cloak, but there was something ancient and otherworldly about him. "You seek to break the curse," he said, his voice deep and resonant, like the earth itself. "But be warned, the path to redemption is fraught with danger. It will require a sacrifice, a choice you must make that will change the course of your life forever." Adama hesitated. She had heard stories of sacrifices made to appease the spirits, but never had she imagined she would have to face such a decision. "What must I do?" she asked, her voice trembling. The stranger stepped closer, his eyes locking onto hers with an intensity that made her shiver. "You must return to Tunde and confess your betrayal, but the cost will be high. If he forgives you, the curse may be lifted. But if he does not, the land will claim both of your souls, and the village will be doomed forever." The weight of his words sank in. Could she bear the pain of facing Tunde, the man she had betrayed? Could she live with the shame of her actions? And yet, the thought of the village falling into ruin was too much to bear. The curse was already destroying everything around her, and if she didn't act soon, there would be no village left to save. Tunde, meanwhile, had not been idle. His heart was broken, shattered by the betrayal of his best friend, the one person he had trusted more than anyone else. He had searched for answers, but no one had the courage to speak the truth. The elders were silent, the villagers too afraid to speak against Jide, and all the while, the curse lingered in the air, clouding everything it touched. Tunde knew that something had to be done. But what? One night, as the full moon cast its light over the village, Tunde set out into the forest. He had heard whispers of the stranger who could break the curse, and his heart was filled with a mixture of hope and dread. He needed to find this figure, to learn if there was a way to save Adama, to save the village. But as he walked deeper into the forest, a cold wind picked up, sending shivers down his spine. The forest seemed alive, as if it was aware of his presence, as if it was guiding him towards something or someone. After what felt like hours, Tunde finally found the stranger standing near the same clearing where Adama had been. "I know why you've come," the stranger said, his voice echoing in the silence of the night. "You seek redemption for what has been broken. But you must understand that not all wounds heal and not all betrayals can be forgiven." Tunde's chest tightened. "What do I have to do?" he asked, his voice steady, despite the turmoil raging inside him. The stranger looked deep into Tunde's eyes, his expression unreadable. "To break the curse, you must decide. Will you forgive Adama, or will you let the land claim your souls, both hers and yours? The spirits are watching, and they will not be merciful." The weight of the decision pressed down on Tunde's shoulders. He loved Adama, despite everything. But could he forgive the ultimate betrayal? Could he forgive the woman who had chosen another man over him? He knew that the curse would not only affect him, but the entire village. If he forgave her, they might have a chance to break free. But if he did not, the consequences would be devastating. Adama, unaware of Tunde's decision, waited in the village, her heart racing with dread. She had prepared herself to face him, to confess her betrayal and ask for his forgiveness. But deep down, she feared he would never forgive her. How could he? What had she done but hurt him in the worst possible way? Tunde arrived at her doorstep the following day, his expression grave. Adama's heart skipped a beat, and she could hardly breathe as he approached. "I've spoken to the stranger," he said softly. "I've heard what must be done. And now I must ask you, do you regret what you did? Do you wish you could change the past?" Adama's eyes filled with tears. "Every day, Tunde, every day I wish I could turn back time. But the curse, the betrayal, it is mine to bear. And I will carry it for the rest of my life if it means saving the village." Tunde stood still, his mind racing. Then, in a moment of painful clarity, he made his choice. The curse could be broken, the land could be saved, but only if they forgave each other, only if they could find redemption together. "Then we will break the curse together," he said, his voice firm. "But first, you must know that forgiveness comes with a price." The tension between them was thick, the weight of the decision hanging in the air. Could they truly forgive each other and break the curse? Only time would tell. If you've ever wondered if forgiveness could break a curse, you won't want to miss what happens next. Like, comment, and subscribe to find out if Tunde and Adama's journey will lead to redemption or ruin.